When we think of British intelligence, names like MI5 and MI6 immediately spring to mind. They're woven into popular culture, immortalized by spy thrillers and James Bond adventures. Yet, there is another arm of British intelligence, cloaked in secrecy and mystery: MI7. Far less known, MI7 was known as Military Intelligence Section 7, which was a wartime intelligence division that played a pivotal role in shaping public morale and controlling the narrative of war. Let's delve into its origins, missions, and its legacy that remains shrouded in shadows. The roots of MI7 stretch back to World War I, a time when modern warfare collided with an era of rapid technological and societal change. Britain realized the battlefield wasn't just trenches and guns. It extended into people's minds. Propaganda became a crucial tool, and the War Office established MI7 to wield it. After the Directorate of Special Intelligence was established in February 1915, Military Operations 5, or AMO-5, was renamed to the AMO-7 branch. Colonel Cole Ridge, the Press Bureau's military assistant director, was ostensibly in charge of it. Press publicity was a focus of AMO-7, a division of the War Office. In May 1915, it authorized the first war correspondents to travel to the Western Front. Its responsibility was to guarantee that the military authorities kept control over the work of the press and correspondence. AMO-7 became Military Intelligence Section 7 when the Imperial General Staff was reorganized in January 1916 and a new Directorate of Military Intelligence was established. Now, most of the specifics we could find were with regards to some of the subsections of MI7, specifically the Military Intelligence 7 Subsection B, which seemed to be the subsection to which the others sent their intel or provided support for further actions by Subsection B. Their mission was unique: to manage press relations, disseminate propaganda, and influence public opinion at home and abroad. Its creation was a reaction to a fundamental realization. Information was as much a weapon of war as tanks or rifles. MI7 operated under the War Office, and its structure mirrored the complexity of its task. As said, it was divided into subsections. Each had specialized responsibilities. MI7A focused on press liaison, ensuring reporters stayed within government-sanctioned narratives. MI7B, the propaganda arm, crafted inspiring stories, war bulletins, and uplifting accounts of heroism for both British and international audiences. MI7C handled censorship, meticulously removing content that could harm public morale or reveal sensitive military operations. And MI7D curated foreign press materials, monitoring and responding to how the war was reported abroad. Each section worked together to weave a seamless narrative that served Britain's strategic goals. At its core, MI7 was a storyteller, wielding words and images to craft a reality that aligned with Britain's war efforts. In a time before social media and 24/7 news, newspapers and letters were the primary sources of information. MI7 harnessed these mediums to great effect. Propaganda wasn't just about rallying support, it was about controlling perceptions. MI7's output included uplifting stories of British bravery, tales of German atrocities, some exaggerated or fabricated, and reports emphasizing Britain's moral high ground. Posters, pamphlets, and speeches flooded public spaces, reinforcing the idea that Britain's cause was just and winnable. One famous piece of propaganda was the portrayal of the British soldier as the embodiment of resilience and honor. MI7B crafted narratives that painted the trenches as a place of camaraderie and duty, rather than despair and death. These stories not only inspired soldiers, but also reassured families back home. Their efforts were not only to negatively impact the aggressor, but also to boost the morale for the war from within. Counter-propaganda played a crucial role as well within the unit. The creation of a library of German propagandist literature in the military intelligence subsections was an early step toward combating the enemy's propaganda, which forms the foundation of all counter-propaganda. A division of the Postal Censorship Unit, then known as MI9, was tasked with gathering war literature of enemy origin. After it was loosely categorized and cataloged, MI7B received the first copy of every book or pamphlet. The men and women of MI7 came from diverse and unexpected backgrounds. Poets, journalists, authors, and academics were recruited for their ability to craft compelling narratives. Among its ranks were literary figures like A. Milne, the creator of Winnie the Pooh, and J.B. Priestley, a celebrated novelist. Their literary prowess was repurposed to serve the war effort, turning fiction into a tool of persuasion. As far as recruitment goes during that time, it wasn't just about finding skilled writers, it was about finding people who understood the subtle art of influence. MI7 operatives had to balance truth with invention, knowing when to inspire and when to deceive. Their work spanned a variety of missions, all aimed at shaping perceptions of the war. Domestically, it focused on maintaining morale in a time of unprecedented suffering. Abroad, it countered enemy propaganda and sought to influence neutral or allied nations. One notable mission involved crafting narratives about Britain's technological and military superiority. Stories of new weaponry, daring raids, and strategic victories were disseminated to bolster confidence in Britain's capabilities. Another critical aspect of MI7's work was addressing war fatigue. By 1917, the war had dragged on for years, and public support was lacking. MI7's propaganda became increasingly focused on emphasizing the importance of perseverance and the inevitability of victory. Propaganda is a double-edged sword. While MI7's efforts were largely effective, they weren't without controversy. Exaggerations and outright fabrications sometimes backfired, undermining trust when the truth eventually came to light. One of MI7's most criticized practices was its use of atrocity propaganda. Stories of German barbarity, such as the infamous bayoneted babies narrative, stirred outrage but also drew skepticism. Balancing the need for impactful storytelling with the risk of overreach was a constant challenge. MI7 was disbanded after World War I, as the need for its services diminished in peacetime. Its archives were largely destroyed, further deepening the mystery surrounding its operations. For decades, the public knew little about MI7, and its contributions were overshadowed by the more enduring legacies of MI5 and MI6. It wasn't until the discovery of surviving MI7B documents in the 21st century that historians began to piece together its story. These documents, including essays, propaganda materials, and internal memos, offer a glimpse into the inner workings of this incredible organization. Though short-lived, MI7's impact endures as a testament to the power of storytelling in war. It demonstrated how narratives could shape public opinion, influence international relations, and sustain a nation through its darkest hours. The techniques pioneered by MI7 laid the groundwork for modern psychological operations and information warfare. Today, as we navigate an era of digital propaganda and disinformation, MI7's story serves as both a lesson and a warning. The ability to control information remains one of the most potent weapons in any conflict, a true testament to the impact of shaping public opinion, for better or for worse. I think we might see some parallels to the world as we know it today. While MI7 may not have the cinematic allure of MI6 or the domestic vigilance of MI5, but its story is no less fascinating. It was a division of poets and novelists, crafting tales of valor and sacrifice to keep the flames of hope alive. In its secrecy and silence, it played a role no less vital than its better-known counterparts. By uncovering the forgotten story of MI7, we shine a light on an aspect of history that reminds us, wars are fought not just on battlefields, but also in hearts and minds, by what we read and what we hear on the news.